Now, we just finished the show with a move across Europe, and we'll have a look at Saudi and a few things as well. But let's start with Bayern Munich. And I know you want to bring that World Cup reference, so pop it in wherever you want to before the end of the show. Um, Bayern, I think, are something like 6 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. And you and I, when we were looking at this first, we were thinking, if any company's going in there, you remember these chats, and we were saying, that's a absolute rat's nest of a place.
Yeah.
Just a viper pit. And from minute one, the sounds weren't great, and it looked like there were factions forming. But he's managed to do the bare minimum, which is to keep them top of the Bundesliga after the success of old Xabi Alonso's crew last year. So I suppose he's ticked that basic box. But apparently, there is quite a lot of squad shifting is going to happen over the course of this summer. Ins and outs. Walk us through the Bayern thing, because who knows what knock-on effect that might have, which might even take us in.
Yeah, people will look at this and go, that's not true. They've got all the renewals sorted and they're keeping that squad together. Let's just be clear. Musiala, massive wage increase, long-term deal. Let's just be clear. Alphonso Davies, who's now unfortunately got that bad injury, and just before it, signed a huge wage deal, a huge increase. Kimmich has signed a renewal. Neuer's gone for another year. Like, yes, it's retaining players, but their wage bill has obviously jumped, hasn't it? It's quite clear in the signing on fees and all that. So it has a knock-on effect. Bayern, and he's also on the screen for those that can't see it on social media, Leroy Sané, that seems a really hard one for them to do now as well, because he'd want a big, you can't just have all your players on massive wages. It doesn't work that way. And Bayern also, we know they put Harry Kane on big wages at the same time. They want to bring in another winger, is our info. So if you've seen your wage bill go through the roof, and you still want to bring in another top winger or another top player, you've got to raise funds somehow. And I'm intrigued to see how they do this, because I suspect Sane will go on a free. No, I'd really struggle to see anything different. Kingsley Coman, probably they're hoping Saudi come in with a bundle of cash for them. But it does feel like a lot of people are suggesting Bayern Munich want to do big business still, and they would love to get Florian Wirtz, the Leverkusen boy, but that just seems too rich for the blood. But a club that has seen their wage bill shoot up massively by the end of this year, and it is fan-owned as well. We know the impact that fan ownership has there and all the people. Something just feels like it's going to give, and I am intrigued to see how do they balance the books. You just feel like that's going to be really one to keep an eye on this summer. Does anyone get sacrificed at Bayern?
Now, I would be remiss in my job if I didn't ask you about the absolutely bananas rumor that was going around. I just want to get a take on it. You just say yes or no. I'm literally asking you, would you? So, Harry Kane, who will turn 32, am I right? He will turn 32 in July. Harry Kane was being touted as a potential for Liverpool's number 9. If you could, would you? Would it depend on club busting wages, that kind of stuff, or is it just one of the stupidest things you've ever heard in your life? Which is how I kind of initially thought of it.
We tried to be calm, we tried to be rational, but have a bit of fun on the show at times as well. If Harry Kane ends up at Liverpool, I don't want to say people aren't doing their job very well.
Last story then is Barca and Saudi. The Diaz thing, we've mentioned it before, but it's kind of full circle. Let's wrap it up there, because it kind of brings it back to Liverpool. I know there's at least one more thing you wanted to mention there, so I'm going to let you take us home, buddy. Whichever way you want to do it for the last couple of minutes, we'll try and get out in an hour and 10.
This one, I mean, I've literally. This is one that even broke today, and this feels huge because we're talking about these players, Saudi, Nunez, Diaz, and when could it happen? It all links to the Club World Cup. And we've always told people, Trev, the Saudis want to make a splash again for the Club World Cup. They've got 2 teams in there. They want to look good, and they may even look at moving players around the Saudi teams to make it good for them. This came out today. It got voted on by the Premier League clubs. For those that can't see it, there is going to be 2 transfer windows this summer. 2 transfer windows, all to help Manchester City and Chelsea. But not just Manchester City and Chelsea, everyone can benefit. So we play Crystal Palace, I think, on the 26th of May, that Sunday, isn't it? The last game of the season.
Yep.
Trev, the transfer window opens 5 days later on the 1st of June. But transfer window number 1 opens on the 1st of June and closes on the 10th of June. So like a 10-day club 18 to 30 style break for football clubs that way. And then we have that good old break for a grand total of, yes, another 6 days, because on the 16th of June, it opens again all the way till the 1st of September. So the thing is, people are like, oh, this is just City and Chelsea. Well, this is going to have knock-on effects, Trev, because all the other clubs might be thinking, if they're in a bidding war or they know City and Chelsea are looking at the players they are, they've got to move all of a sudden, haven't they? Everything has been brought forward. So would it surprise you even if on the last day of the season, for instance, we win the league, Darwin Nunez does all the waves and stuff and gets on a plane to Saudi 20 minutes later, or like, this is just genuinely. Also, these clubs can be ready for the Club World Cup. So that's why we're mentioning Diaz and Nunez again for Saudis. But this really just changed. Brilliant for us. It'll probably give us 1,000 more stories. But the season ends and 5 days later, transfer window number 1 opens. Crazy.
What I love about it gives us 2 transfer deadline days, which means we can break out. We'll take it in turns. One of us can wear the nice backless number and the other can wear the matching yellow tie. Tremendous stuff. 2 deadline days, in other words, a mini one and a full one. But look, we want this because on the back of the start of this show, apparently we're going to be doing some business for once. And it's very exciting. If there are 2 opportunities or 2 windows of opportunity for us to do it, let's take that. This has been great, Dave. We've gone long, but I think it was well worth it because there was lots to get through for once. It was all about Liverpool as well, which you've got to love. And we got right back there again in the end. So let's wrap it up at that and say goodbye to everyone. Thanks from myself. Thanks from Dave. This has been the Transfer Show. We'll be back with you soon.